Morning.
Good morning.
About to start sharing this screen here.
I changed my name real quick from Detailing Success to Rennie. Go. All right. Well, start saying hi to people as they come on, because I like doing that.
I'm gonna play this music here for a little bit real quick, and then we're up and live streaming everywhere, so we're good.
Sounds good.
Can you
Chris
see
Williams, how you
the
doing, buddy?
countdown?
Let's do it.
Can you see it?
It's just a blank screen, but I see it.
Okay,
Can you hear it
gotcha.
or see it?
13 seconds and I'll get it going.
Not 14, 13.
Not 14. No, we're good. I'm gonna get it started here. And we'll see you guys here shortly, guys.
Got it.
Let me get this going here.
What's up, man? I missed that voice. This is the Rennie Doyle podcast. We gotta,
I gotta get that,
we
but I
can't, we
gotta
got, we
figure
can't
out how to
find it.
get that.
We
On my
can't.
drive down here, I was literally thinking about hitting up the radio station that I work with here, the Mambo in the Morning Show. They got all that, and I got something for else. They use a cowbell in the mornings, like when they wake up, they do like 8 o'clock morning, or I think it's like 7 o'clock, and they start
Really,
big old
cowbell.
cowbell, and they're just like starting the radio show.
Hey, maybe
But I was literally thinking about hitting up Mambo today. They're right down the street from me, like a block away.
that'd be cool,
They're
man.
like, hey, dude, hit
Your
me up
truck
and.
looks, your truck looks cool.
What's that? Yeah, it's nice and detailed.
Yeah,
The white
yeah.
one's not as detailed, but
No, no, it doesn't matter. That white one doesn't count.
yeah,
That,
I'm taking this
uh,
one up to Big Bear. I'm telling you, I'm trying
well,
to
hey,
get.
it's reason to get the Chevelle out to the Rodnecks. If you guys are
Don't
ever
tell me
looking,
all that because I will take this truck up there.
dude, it would be cool, huh? I mean,
Yeah, I mean
it'd be
it's
cool.
nice. I mean it's there. I just got to tie down that lowrider bike back
You
there.
you 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 come back and there's 200 extra miles on it, you know?
That's all right. Hey, that's what they're there for, right? It's ready to go. It turns on. It fires up.
So, hey, today we're going to talk about a really hot topic. Where are you putting your energy, into people, task, all these different things. We want to thank P&S Products, Dynabrade. I don't know if I see, IK Sprayers are one of our big partners and that we absolutely adore. There's a lot of them, but hey, it doesn't happen without that. So let's jump in and talk shop a little bit. So you're coming back up here. We've got an outdoor wilderness leadership course starting on, really everybody gets in on Thursday.
Yep. Yep.
A few people coming up early Friday morning. So we'll be out and about and doing some land nav and relating it back to business. And it's one of my
Yeah.
favorite weeks of the entire year. I just love doing this course.
Yeah, I was actually just talking to Chris Williams this morning. On my way into the shop, I gave him a call and he's getting ready. I think he flies out at 4 in the morning from Atlanta, or he's going to Atlanta at 4 to come in for this.
Wow.
We got Mike coming in from Florida, a couple of
Yep.
guys from the East Coast, some Southern California guys. I actually talked to pretty much everybody last night and this morning on the drive and just making sure they're going to get out here. And they're all just as excited to come out as we are. I mean, I
Yeah.
love this. Like you said, it's one of my favorite events to do throughout the year because it kind of takes us away from the shops. The shop environment gets us
Does.
out there,
Does.
good-minded people, and and someone asked me the other day, why do you guys go camping? I said, it's not really camping. I said, it's all about life and business.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, what? It looks like you guys are just camping and having fun. I said, we are camping
We
and having
are.
fun, but we
Yeah.
relate everything to business. And that's
Yeah.
where I think a lot of people are missing the point that we can take your experience, with rescue and bring it in and tying it all into business and how it is. And once I broke it down and was like, look, this is what we do. This is why we do land nav. This is why, you're facing your fears is having a business is fear, it's scary. Showing you how
What
to,
is? And we take people completely out of their element. And believe it or not, business is, we say it's our element, but if you're building a business the right way, your element's changing constantly. And so you
yeah,
got to change with it, going out. And I mean, you were military. I'm just weekend warrior, right? But remember all those times on the land nav course, and those I've been on the Marine Corps down at Pendleton. I've
yeah.
been on a couple of those land nav courses, and what you
It's
walk away from doing land nav, like the first time we're doing it during the day, and we're seeing all these entrepreneurs out there during the daylight, and they're all on their own. It's cool, and it's cool to see people learn to trust their instrument, the
yeah.
compass. Learn to trust your bank account. Learn to trust, your gut. That's it. All comes. Oscar just said everything. Even when we're teaching you man tracking, and litter carry, and search
So
techniques,
I
evidence.
think when we first did the first one, I believe it was the man tracking that really settled in with me as far as, man, this is what I was doing in my chamber. This is like I was out there
Amen.
finding the right clients and and sorting everything out. So
Amen.
I think the way that you really construct, and I remember talking about this. I mean, man, you talked to me about this like
Years
7 years ago when I trained with you.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I have this dream, I want to do it, I want to do it. And then when we came again, then here we are and we're doing it. And it to me, I was like, man, Randy's got to be crazy. He's got all these crazy ideas.
Yeah.
But once it all came together and how we were able to, I think this is what our fourth, fifth one. This is
Yeah.
our
Well, this last one was the advanced one, and we got stormed out of it. We had to get that. We spent a night. Well, you guys, I was in the Hilton. Uh, for you guys that don't know, that's the camper right back there. So these guys,
Yeah.
we all put them into survival training, and that's our headquarters. I can't leave our headquarters. I got to man the phones all night long. So these guys are out there. It's windy. It wasn't particularly cold. It was the wind and cold. And I walked out one time and I was like, "Ooh, I'm going back in my camper." And then I felt so guilty because I know these guys are freezing, and it got a little cold in my camper, so I snuck over and turned the heater on. And
But I was literally talking again. I talked to Chris a lot, and I was talking to
Mhm.
him about um, how I'm going to set up my sleeping system different because it was cold that last time. It was really cold,
Right.
and to me, it was like I don't know. It's the wind. It's different, but you
We took
know.
hey, we didn't even plan on talking about this subject at all, but
No,
people
but
coming in were
here's the
excited.
tie-in though. Here's the tie-in, and I was thinking
Okay.
about it as we're talking, like, oh man, we're getting way out of subject. But how does this course bring us in with the right people
Oh,
and
oh,
to have that camaraderie? Every course is different, and there's something that you say, and again, I'm sorry for repeating myself, but there's things that you say that really resonate with me, and you say it at Air Force One. This team will never be together again
again.
because something's going to happen. I mean, people move on. They're just not going to come in. They just kind of, they
Have
stop going.
kids. They're too
Yeah, they have
busy.
kids. It just, so I think these smaller courses, and I'll call it a small cohort of people that come together for these leadership courses, it's very special because the camaraderie and the relationships. And I'll think of Doug and Sergio. When they came through this course,
Yeah.
I remember sitting back and I was on the side of the rock and I was talking to Chris and I was like, look at that, dude. You got Doug, a founder of this group, a master in the detail mafia, and you got Sergio that's barely coming in. And they were like this. And
Yep.
now when you see them in projects, they have this special bond where Sergio can get Doug to smile. And Doug doesn't smile a
No,
lot.
no. Well, he smiles from the inside. So,
Yeah, like
and you got a guy that's in his 60s and a guy that's in his 20s. And it just proves to you, I mean, age is here and in your heart. It's how you take care of yourself. It's all of that, right? But I saw something the other day, and I can relate to this, man. Dude, I honestly feel like I'm like really like 30, right? I really do. And then I just feel mentally like I'm 30, and then my body feels like I'm probably about 40. Uh, but now my body's starting to feel like I fought in the freaking Civil War, dude. It's like, God, you, you know,
like
and
dude,
I,
when I get up, I'm like, my everything hurts. What hurts?
yeah,
Everything.
yeah. And it's funny, like I've been an agent and I am what I am, but I put hats on now, and I realize now, like when I put a hat on, I've got a big fucking like potato head. It's like my fucking face. It's like if you look at certain actors, like over time, their fucking face got big, right? And fuck, my face has gotten big, and it's like, I mean, it's just, and so, God, we're going completely.
No,
Hey,
no, we're still gonna tie it in
we
because
we
again,
are.
these courses that you do, the trainings that we have, the 5 days, the PPF course, the window tint, the leadership courses, our SEMA education day that we do for the detail mafia. This is exactly what we do to not put our energy towards the wrong people because we bring in the right people. We're around the right people that we want to put on our energy. I love going to all these events that we host, even Air Force One, McCall's, when you guys go out there, like those teams, that's all the right people you want to be around with. Those are
Heck,
the people that you
absolutely.
want to be there and the energy that you should be putting it in. So I guess that's our tie in this morning
So
is
let's even take that one step further. Let's go to when we go to we got SEMA coming up, right?
yeah,
We go to events, we have our party there, and so many people step up and help out. Even the industry, it's putting yourself. It's not just our group. There's really good friends. I mean, Jeremy Stevens, he owns, Shines. He's a
right
competitor
down the street from me,
right down
Shine
the
Supply.
street.
Yeah.
Jeremy and I have this thing where we get together and we get real emotional because I'm a decade of, I think a little over a decade in front of him. Maybe a decade and a half. But he's recovering, and he's pretty honest about it. I'm recovering. We're all recovering from something,
Yeah.
right? And we get emotional with each other.
Oh, I know. I saw it at my shop when you remember when we had you
Yeah.
guys drop the rice all over the damn floor.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
God, I
I've
remember
seen
that.
it.
Felt bad.
I had a moment with him last year at SEMA.
Yeah.
I was working the booth and he just happened to walk by and I saw him and his son and they came up, they said what's up and I was like, hey, it was good to see you and he was like, dude, honestly, like I wasn't gonna come, I just wasn't feeling it. And I looked at him, I was like, bro, I just love seeing you walk this show. I love seeing when people are wearing your brand, your hoodies,
I
like
do too.
it's that culture. And I was like, I just love it. And his son looked at him and he goes, you see, this is why you come. And he got like emotional and
Yeah.
he's like, dude, he's like, my son said, you're going to talk to one person that's going to make it worthwhile. And he goes, dude, you just made my SEMA show worthwhile by just telling me that. Cause I just said, I love seeing him at the show. I love him working the show
Right.
and just kind of just walking and just
And
spreading that happiness.
when you're up here tomorrow, I got an idea with him. Let's reach out to him tomorrow. I got a cool
I'll
idea.
go to a shop after this.
Hey, and you might want to do that. I'll talk offline, but we talk about building people up. We're talking about culture right now around putting your energy. People would say, God, why would you, a couple of years ago, we got some direct competitors up on stage at the party. There's almost 600 people there. We brought them up. We gave them, they're kind of new, right? And there's rumors that we had beef with them, which we proved that that was bullshit. That was just exactly what we're going to talk about. Toxic
I
people
think I
that,
stopped that right on the when everybody heard me started calling people up, they're like, "What?" And I was
what?
like,
Oh, yeah.
I always tell people, don't let the shirt, don't let the name on the shirt confuse you. We're all friends in this industry. We
No,
all get along. Just
until,
because
until you're not, until you're
until you're
not,
not, yeah. I
until you're
mean,
not.
I get it, but I love taking the picture with you, Francisco, Justin Lobato every year at SEMA, and that's literally what I caption it. Don't let the shirts fool you.
No.
We're all friends in this industry, and we all
Yeah,
work.
I mean, just talking to Francisco yesterday, you gave me
Yeah.
some information on him, and it's just all these, and I get bad. We're leading into this, and it doesn't count. Look at what we're talking about. All the good people.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the knuckleheads. What I call okay. There's the old Clint Eastwood, and I named it on the notes for today. The good, the bad, and normally it's the ugly, right?
Yeah.
But I changed it to the good, the bad, and the undermining. That is 1% of the population, man. Why are you, and you taught me that when you're, Marine Corps, is
I was thinking about when I was coming in here. I was listening to your notes. I put your notes on an app, and it was kind of just playing it over. And I was like, yeah. I was like, we don't want to waste our time on the 10%.
no,
It's not that the 10% it's not there. Is that there's a time for the 10%. And in the Marine Corps, what I mean by that is we have knuckleheads that just, it's like I would come in as the first sergeant and I had, the bench outside of my office full of everything that went on over the weekend. And I remember my CO, my major told me, he goes, hey, first sergeant, like he pulled me aside and he mentored me. I had to be, he was in charge of us. He's the commanding officer of the unit. And he told me, he goes, hey, dude, he's like, by the time you're done dealing with all of this drama, it's 11, 12. Your attitude changes and you take it out on the 90% that's good.
man,
Stop focusing on the 10% and wake up, come into the shop and go focus on the 90%. Give them your good time because by the time the 10% is done with you, you're done, you're irritated, you're not working out, and he's like, and you're just taking it on the rest of the unit, and it affects the unit morale. And I'm
right.
like, you should have sat with me. And I was like,
Hey,
wow.
and you do the same thing with your family. You get home, you've
Oh,
had a
yeah.
tough day, and I'm guilty of that, and not creating the environment that I should have, right? But hey, it is what it is. I read this quote last night. Don't concentrate so hard on the person you were, as really concentrate on the person you become. And I just love, and you guys probably don't get. I know you don't because you can't. Because I did when I was your age. I heard it, but I didn't get it. And you guys will at one point. But when you hit a certain age, and it's funny because somebody told me it was 58, and mine was 58. It started, but like this year, like the shit that's important to me, um, it's like somebody's like a horse. You got blinders, so they can't get spooked on stuff there. It's like somebody took them off. You know,
Yeah.
and I'm just seeing. I'm seeing more. I guess I'm closer to being the first. I always said my happy me was 10 years old. And I think that I stayed 10 until I was about 30, right? Is I just like to play but I was serious about business. I worked my ass off, right? But keep that playful nature. I say that all too much. So let's dive into this and see what
Yeah.
we can kind of trouble we can get into. And so, stop putting the energy into the wrong task and the wrong people. So we're gonna talk about task first. And that's what pays the bills, is that we've got something that we've gotten really into and it's changed my day, and it's chapters. I go in chapters. And so it's funny now because since I've gone into chapters, and income is the first chapter of the book, your book.
Yeah.
And ever since I've done that, like yesterday, we showing Oscar, I do these reach out videos, and I was like, well, I'm going to get on a roll, and so I just did almost half of them right there. I'll do the other half today, and then they're done. I'm caught up for the next week or so. But since I've been kind of categorizing my efforts and putting profits first, because that's what makes the world go around. There's going to be days you can't do that, but that those should be the minimalist, right? Is that even since we've done that, just tasking our energy, and a lot of people don't think about that, is that you've got to take, and it's like Oscar, you still lift, but I remember when I was really lifting to get strong and bigger, and you had to plan out your days because right now I kind of do a full body workout, 4 days a week. Well, there's no way when I was training hard, when I built my legs up, I've got massive legs. Is when I was building, my brothers have got freaking chicken legs, right? My whole family does.
Hey, I'm taking offense to that. Someone made a comment when we were on the cruise. They're like, dude, look at Rennie's legs. And they're like, Oscar, start doing legs.
But it's one of those things I paid to do is I put that energy into it. But I couldn't do legs 2 days in a row back then. I mean, I was just wasted. I could hardly walk, right? And so just like I had to plan out my lifting. And so I didn't injure myself. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
Right. Going back to our leadership course this weekend, is everything's related back, everything you do. So what I learned from lifting, and listen, a lot of people, I'm not a huge dude, but if you look, I'm pretty strong. I mean, over a 400-pound bench at one time, I can still put up probably, if I worked out for two weeks, I could get 315 up. And so that's a lot. I could probably still push about 600 up on the squats. That took a decade to build up.
Yeah.
Go back to the early days of bodybuilding. You look at, Schwarzenegger's the famous one, right? But you look at Lou Ferrigno, the original. Um, what character did he play? The big green dude. I don't watch TV and stuff too much.
Big green dude. Hulk.
Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, Hulk.
Hulk. The original Hulk, man. I mean, he was like 6'7", and the dude's still huge to this day. He's a search and rescue guy for LA County, or was. I'm not sure if he's still active on the team or not, but he got on a search and rescue, and we were on a mission. So, hey, the other thing I wanted to, you hit something earlier, and I want to jump into this before we go into good energy, is talking about energy. Okay, weekend warrior, dude. I'm on meal team 6, especially now. Older guys, we're horse based, we're ceremonial. I've never been in the military that like what Oscar and you guys that are full time have done, or guard members that have gone overseas. Not what I've done, right? I remember the first time when the wars were going, I got assigned to go down. And Oscar, you've heard this many times, but you haven't heard one part of it. Is we are assigned, and we are so backed up with the guard that the Marine Corps is allowing us to go down and use their ranges. So I had to go through a bunch of Marine Corps certifications to be able to take and assist at operating the ranges with the guard, right? Because all you guys provided is the range. I think I don't know what you guys call it, range manager,
Uh, for no, the range coach, the
range
range coach,
coach.
the
Yep, yep,
safety officers and all that stuff.
yep. Safety
Yeah.
officers. That's what we went through. A bunch of us went through. But my point is, that first time I've been on post there with my kids, right? Seeing my kids when they're in the Marine Corps, our son. No, I hadn't. Yeah, our son when he graduated, I've been there. I've done stuff like that. I've been down there for different reasons. We had an AT there one time, where we used your guys' combat city. We're the first California National Guard unit or California Military Department unit to be allowed to use that. I don't know if I ever told you that or not.
Yeah.
Then, dude, they got a state of the art. It's a control room. They can pump in different odors. So we had deceased bodies. I mean, different things. It was pretty amazing. But Oscar, the first time I went on post there, I realized, oh God, here I am, this wannabe weekend warrior, and now I'm going on a Marine Corps establishment, and I remember being so nervous, dude, like I wanted to puke, and I remember getting on post, and they didn't know what we were, right, and these are young Marines, and I remember finally warming up, and I remember the intensity level of dealing with the Marine Corps is here I am, I'm in my 40s, and I was intimidated. And, one of the things that came of that is the energy that the Marine Corps put into us is eased me. And some of those relationships are still there, especially within guardsmen that I got to, help. Certainly I'd never shot before, hadn't shot through since boot, is some of those relationships are still there. And it was the energy that was put into it. But I remember thinking back to when I was so scared that the Marine Corps was just going to chew us up, and they didn't. They helped us, but they're just intense. And so That's what, when you put yourself into odd, and we're going completely off topic, but when you put yourself into odd situations and you task yourself to different things, that's what's going to grow you. Like I see that you mentioned Doug, 60s. I think he was over 60 when he went over the edge, just terrified of heights. One of his biggest fears. Oscar, what did he do?
Went down. I mean, everyone was scared.
Three
So
stories.
yeah, but you know, you face your fears. And how do we turn that into the business side? How do we turn into your life side? You know, we put you in situations, not life or death, but we put you in situations where you're going to face your fears that when you come back into your business, when you come back into your communities, everything's easy. It's like, oh, I can do this because I just jumped off a 40-foot cliff. You know, I just rappelled down this thing and it was facing your fears.
Right.
Yeah, I was scared. I was scared. I was telling Christian Ramos last night. I was like, dude, because he's afraid of heights. And he's like, dude, I'm gonna go home at noon on Saturday. I was like, no, you're not. We're going up that
Yep.
rock. Like we're going up
Yep.
the side of that hill.
Yep.
And he was telling me, he's like, no, dude, he's like, I used to do that, you know, way back, but there's always a fear of when you first do it. I gotta trust you and Chris Williams that you guys rigged everything up. So when I'm the first one down that rock,
Yeah.
I'm not going down like I did the first time.
Right. No. Yeah. He used a new device that I had. And he had a little fun. So let's talk about that good energy, right? That's all good energy. It's nervous energy. Why are we even talking about this? Controlling that fear factor in your business, controlling your emotions is so important. That's really, and again, that might even be a task for you, is controlling your emotions and controlling your fear when you're going in a new direction. So what's good energy? Your brand building. Notice I said not your company, your brand building. You need to build up you. Now you need to get your brand out there, but it's a lot more important. I'd rather build me up in my local audience, my local market, my local connections, and have them remember me versus them remembering the name of my company. They're going to remember what I do.
Yeah.
It's just, I found out real quick, is market yourself.
I
And
mean,
that's good
one name that
energy.
comes to mind is Corey Taylor. Look at it when he started getting in front of the camera.
Night and day, dude. And when he's there, you don't pick up the nervousness. Then when you watch him film here, you can see he's nervous and he fights his fears, right? And
Yeah.
then right with that, what's Corey doing now that he's making those videos is connections. He's building those connections up, and then that heads into relationships. And that's what you need to be putting, your energy to, your education, and you got to step out of the box. You can watch YouTube all you want, and there's some great information on there, right? But you got to get in and around and we're going to talk about circles here in a minute, but you've got to take and educate yourself. And to me, the only way you're going to really take and do that is connecting with others and building up those relationships. So the other good energy is your inner circle, and that, I'll tell you, is, if you're married, it's your spouse. That's the closest circle you've got, and then your kids. And it doesn't mean your kids are outside of that, but I always explain it this way: your kids are going to move on. You and your spouse aren't. You're for life. You're there till the end, and that's how Diane and I've made it. That there's been some hardships and hard times, right? But we knew that we are there to the end. Our kids have all moved on. Our youngest lives, about 4 minutes away. We see her practically every day, which I'm thankful for. But all the kids, they're all doing their same things. And so then you're going to concentrate on your good energy of your middle circles. What are those? Your really closest friends, like your people that you love, right? That you're maybe building. It's a newer relationship, and maybe you don't have decades with them, but you're building that up. There's your middle circle that's really important. And sometimes even as your kids grow up, or you're close to cousins, maybe even parents for some people, is that inner circle. Now some of those people are in that middle circle, not in that inner circle. And I know that sounds harsh to some people, but that's just fact. And
Truth.
I mean, you've got to be careful with your circles. And then your outer circles are the people that, colleagues that you're friends with. You've got to stay in communication and put energy into that too. And I think that the most important one naturally is that inner circle you've got to really manage. That one, for me, there's only one person in that inner circle anymore, and it's Diane. Our kids are maybe on a bubble on that inner circle, but like I said, they've all moved on. I love them, but they're adults. When they're kids, they're right in that inner circle. They had to be. We had to raise them, but
They're building their inner circle.
they're
And
building their, yeah,
now you're in the middle circle for them. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the
exactly.
way life works.
Some of them on the outer circles, and that's
Stop it.
that's
Stop
okay.
it.
That's okay. That's okay. Is
Yeah.
It depends on, it depends. I sent Darren a thing yesterday, and it shows her taking this gal taking her dad out for lunch, and all of a sudden she goes, the brakes go on. She goes, "Oh, I forgot my wallet. Can you pay?" And I was like, "Oh God, that sounds familiar, right?" And you love it. So this is bad energy. You just don't want to take in and put anything into drama, man. And drama, social media, I don't even check into it. I hear about it a little bit, but most of the time I just shut people down. I don't want to hear about that. But your drama and ego. There's a difference between confidence and ego. You want to that confidence is good energy, but drop your freaking ego. I wish somebody would have told me that. There's not too many times in my life. Listen, if you're gonna go out and do things, you're gonna be self assured, and maybe some people view that as ego, and you've got to stand proud. But are you buying that? Are you making that video? Are you going to this event just for your ego, or are you going to build something out of it? And if you can build something that's going to build your confidence, self awareness, that's one thing. But if it's just for your ego, you got to drop that. Same with fame. People think, oh man, again, back ego. Did I ever take aim at being anybody? No, I was just trying to pay the bills. I've said that a million times. Matter of fact, I just read something. Journey, an old band from the 70s and 80s, I guess 90s. They're still on tour, but Steve Perry, the original singer, amazing voice, right? He was quoted. Everybody thinks he wants to come back to Journey, and he just clarified the air. Here's one of the biggest rock bands of their era. They still have their soundtracks and movies, all these 40, 50 years later. And Steve Perry said, no, I don't want to go back on tour. I want to be in the studio. I want to live a private life now. I'm okay of where I'm at in my circles. And I think that is most people, a lot of people I know that are in the limelight, if you talk to them, some of them love it, right? I mean, I think it's a blessing, but a lot of them really deep down, they just want to be, they just not left alone because that's part of what they signed up for. But there's definitely private times that they seek out more than the fame. So
Yeah. You see it a lot. All the influencers that come out for SEMA and they're, walking around with the photographer, they just want that fame. And it's just like who's these people walking around? Like,
mhm.
and it just, again, that goes with people's ego, go out there
Right.
and I've seen it. I've seen it around last few years that I've been traveling. Um, it really could mess up a business. It's like, did you start up your business to be the face of the nation or the world as a detailer, or
Right.
did you start the business to actually run a business and make money?
Yep.
you know I think that's where your ego can take you down the wrong path and you're feeding into the wrong people. The wrong people are feeding into you when it comes to that. So I mean, I think just to focus on you, your business, and if it takes you down that road where you are
Good.
these people that are out there and they've been around the industry. But I'll tell you what, guys, everyone you see out here in the industry that you see that think is famous in the industry that are well known, all these people put in their time. It's taking decades to build,
Yeah.
and that's what I think. And they built it without social media. Now
Yeah.
it's so easy for everyone to call themselves an influencer or a public figure and doing this and that. Um, but my respects to that, and I pay respect to all the founders for the D Time Off every time we have an event. I recognize them the first thing. Why? Because they're the ones who put in the work for me to wear this hoodie. They're the ones who put in the work for me to fly those colors. That's where we got to really look at it. If you get to that point, then you get to it. But stop chasing it. That's something we say in our group. Don't chase it. If it comes to you, it comes to you. If it comes knocking on your door, you're gonna know it. And I think the fame and then going into the next, the social media stuff, that's what's
Oh,
really feeding a lot of this ego and the fame, and that turns into drama, guys. Like the more you guys are out there, the more that, and I see it. Me personally, I'm just not involved in any forums or any groups anymore because one by one, the minute I see drama, I just get out of it because I was looped into that circle where I would wake up first thing in the morning.
oh, no
Yes, I
way.
was going to the gym, but the whole time in the gym, I'm just sitting there just reading drama. And it just like, was I really working out? I was just entertaining everybody else's drama. And
And
now
that's
is I don't want to wake up to that. And people have asked me, I thought told 2 years ago, someone confronted me at SEMA. They're like, hey bro, you deleted me from Facebook. And I'm like, all right. And he goes, do you have a problem with me? No, bro, I don't have a problem with you. I love you, dog. I just don't like waking up and seeing all the drama you put on social media. I
right.
don't want to see it. Like I
Yeah.
removed myself from that situation. Instead of feeding into it, I just removed myself from those problems. And I just talk to people and hang around people that are not going to bring that to me because
What,
I just don't like it. I don't want to be around it. It brings me down.
it's funny because you know the story recently. I kind of, well, somebody came up to me and I just kind of spoke my mind, because there's been, some things said and so forth. And so I don't take it to the social media platforms. I don't waste a big event. I don't take it to SEMA with me. I don't take it to Mobile Tech, but this individual, I just kind of clarified my thoughts. And it's funny because, you could tell he's not a bad person at all, but he's been geared towards the way social media is handled of why didn't you text me? Because dude, this is the way man to man, this is the way I want to communicate. And people aren't used to taking and having to fix conflict in person. And so when they have to fix it in person, they get really aroused and excited and angry and hurt and all kinds of emotions come out, right? So that's why I think it's so important to build up those, those personal relationships. But let's talk about clarity a little bit. And this all plays back to what we just talked about right now was all these things, this good energy, bad energy. And you're going to have to figure out what each one is for you. There's definitely a place on social media, but I'll tell you, detailers don't pay your bills, they pay our bills. And if you wanted to get a training, I'm not here, and Oscar's not here to tell you not to chase something that you want to do. If you want to be famous, God, go out and make yourself famous. But I would tell you, go to it in a different industry where you can make more money.
Yeah.
Is that it's if you're really going to put the energy into it, I mean, if I was young and that's what my goal was, I'd become a cool car builder. I'd be whatever my niche is, I would start doing that or something like that. If the fame was after it, or painter, a really good car painter, if you're into the industry.
So I got into this. I mean, before I went to the Marine Corps, I was taking auto body classes because I wanted to do this. I wanted to build cars. I wanted to work on cars. Obviously, my story was a little bit different, and it took me into a different path, which I'm very grateful for. It changed me as a person. It made me who I am today. But I fell back to this. This is where I started. This is where what I wanted to do is, and I always wanted to be in the painting side, auto body. Now I think it's a little bit too late for that. It's never too late, but I just jumped into auto detailing because
Yep.
I just love the lowrider classics. I love the classic cars. I love working on them, and it kind of just it took me that I wanted to go that route, but I think you're absolutely right. Like just to work in the shop, and I tell people all the time, I just want to be in my shop working with my headphones, listening to music, and just working on cool cars. Like that's it. I don't want anything else. Like I
No,
just want peace of mind.
no, it's going back at people that are shooting for this, and this is really what it is. Step one, clarity is your three top priorities, today, and that connectability of what's my goals and what's my priorities. And I'm telling you, if you're a business owner, you always need, even if you're booked out, 6 months down the road, is that I can tell, I know, my comfort zone is booked out so far in advance. Once we got underneath that threshold, like for us, we didn't really want to be booked up more than about 2 weeks when we were first starting out because we'd lose business, So a lot of people think, okay, well, let's see, I'll just hire somebody. Well, we went out, I did that in the early days and it was a mistake. I wasn't ready to have somebody yet. And then a coach of mine said, why don't you just raise your price by $100 a detail? And I was like, ooh, God, that's steep. I'm going to lose some customers. He goes, you just told me you're booked up almost a month, man, and you want to be booked up 2 weeks in advance. Cut half your customers. Make more money on what you're doing. You know what? I worked less and made a little more. And so that worked. But it's setting those direct goals. And if you only got one thing done, this is what you ask yourself. If I have to do one thing today, what's that on this list I've got? What do I need to do today? What has to be done today? And again, that first one better be profit driven. We go in our. I've really been big into these chapters. I've spoke about it a lot, and we're going to share it with the mafia here in a bit. I'm going to do a training on it because it's really changed the way we do things.
Mhm.
But next is evaluate each of your tasks. So ask quick questions before you're going to take and jump into it with the energy. And so the first one is impact. Does this task create revenue, growth, and momentum? Now, momentum goes into our chapter two. Is that we go in chapter one is all revenue, is that it's revenue, and then growth and momentum go into chapter two in our day. So that might not start until 11, 11:30 and go until about 2, 3. Then we go back to chapter one is creating revenue. And then we come back to when we do start chapter 3. Why do we go back on that? Because revenue is the bloodstream. You've got that impact is got to be every day. You've got to work on that. I don't care how booked out you are, is you've got to take and keep that. You got to keep that pipe filled, and if your pipeline of incoming business is going shallow, then you need to get out there and create more value and create more relationships. Right into that is evaluate your unique value. Am I the only one can do this in the company? Am I a solo person? One of the things we're going to talk about, can I hire somebody outside? Can I hire a bookkeeper? Can I hire a personal assistant? There's a lot of remote personal assistants now. Can I use AI? We're going to talk about, I'm jumping ahead, but can you use technology if you're a one-man person? Can you use software? How much, Oscar, we hear this all the time with software in the industry. And how much has that changed the one-man shop of just having the right software? You're able, we're close to them. Michael's on the podcast tomorrow night. How much has that changed just from our perspective of watching these businesses? How much has that technology changed the industry?
It's completely changed it, honestly. And I mean, and I'll give a shout out to the rest of them. Detail Bookie, Road FS, you're able. They're all great softwares.
They are.
They're all out there to help your guys grow your business, and they're actually expanding into other businesses, into other industries to help them. But as a one man shop, when I personally was using Road FS when I started, it helped me out a lot. I mean, it wasn't no more texting and calling. It was like I could set up, and these guys physically came in here and helped me out with that. And honestly, when I was running my shop day-to-day operations by myself, by choice, I that's just the way I wanted to work, guys. It helped out a lot, and it changed a lot because it freed up a lot of my time for them to pretty much do the work for me, and it wasn't expensive. I fit it into my overhead. I raised it when I got into software. I raised my prices a little bit across the board, and essentially that my prices were paying for my software. But yeah, if you guys look into it, and it's a game changer. Right now, I think the biggest changer that I saw right now is if you have a storefront or you're selling product out of your shop, some of these softwares are now helping you with your inventory. They're helping you with your stock and tracking all of that stuff. So software, I say in the last 5 years, 4 years, has really changed this industry.
And credit to Rod and Jody, as Road FS. I mean, I've known Rod for over 20 years. And I mean, it's hard to believe, it's been that long, well over 20 years. And so Rod and Jody, they were kind of the solo cowboys. They were going at the software thing, before they were doing the Hail guys, so the PDR guys, they did a lot of that, but they had Target, and they also were the first probably 10 years ago to start putting product into the software to where you could track your product usage, you could order, you knew what you had, what you didn't have, and all that stuff. So just that software, again, impact. Let's go back to that unique value. If you're going to be unique, you're going to need help. And it doesn't need to be, Oscar just said it, is that he wanted to be a solopreneur. There's nothing wrong with being a solopreneur. If you're building a lifestyle business, I tell you, go. I think really, if I had to, go back to being 20 years old, that's exactly what I concentrate on. I built a lifestyle business. A lot of times somebody that I thought a lot about used to hurt my feelings, say, all you've done is just create yourself a job. And it used to bother me, and it was meant to be a slam. And now if I had to go back and that same person would say that, I'd say, you know what, I did. And it was a pretty high paying job. And I got to control that job. I got to take off the vacation to go skiing when I wanted to. I got to be involved, in search and rescue. I got to do all these freedom movements in my life because I was a solopreneur, and I just think that gets ragged on a lot. And there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody wants to hire their first person. I'd rather use AI, and I'd rather use tools that are out there, and even virtual assistants and all that stuff, and go after that than anything. So that will help you with your unique value. And then alignment. Does my task list, does our chapters align and support my bigger vision, or is it a distraction? Again, all of a sudden now, we've got, when the economy gets a little, we see a lot of tendencies going on. Won't even talk about them, but when the economy gets tough, we can always tell us because for the last 25 years since social media's been around, and the web has been around, is we see these same trends every single time the economy gets tricky. And I can see from a mile away when people are starting to hurt. And that's not a slam, is that things will slow down for us. We're fighting for business like we haven't since probably 2010. Um, the thing is, we're keeping ahead of it, and we're keeping comfortable. But there's days to where there's hardships in your business, and there's days that it's easy street. And so you've got to be able to, you want to keep it as close to easy street to where you're not stressing. And that's where we're at, to where we're working hard to bring everything in, but we're not stressing. We're chill. If you're tasking yourself with the wrong task and you're spending your unique value and your alignment is off, and then you're leveraging, will the task multiply results later? That's all compounding customers, right? Is that's what we want. I just responded to a text last night, and this young man, Luke Neal, Oscar, remember Luke? He was
Mhm.
he referred somebody over to us for a training, and so I was chat with his kid. He's 18 years old. He's got his business going, and I'd sent him a little video, and he texted me back, and I chatted with him for a couple and told him to thank Luke for the lead in and the kind words. Look at that. That's compounding, right? And Luke's not involved in our group anymore, but he's a great guy. And again, that's where there's allies all over this industry. I mean, there's just so many good software. There's so many good companies out there. Just pick who you're aligned with. And then this is a big one, Oscar. We were just talking about this yesterday. The comfort trap. Am
Mhm.
I doing this because it's the easiest thing to do? It's familiar, or am I constantly creating urgent situations in my business? And I'm telling you, is that the bigger and more complex you get, not even bigger, but if you're very, very booked, very solid, is that right there, the urgency thing can really hurt you. And we've fallen into that trap off and on throughout our entire career. It just happens, right? But you've got to adjust to that. So, Oscar, what did I do on my computer yesterday? To simplify things, I came up with a whole written out plan, and it was literally our engagement. It goes like this, and it's so that Becky's on task, Oscar's on task,
You know,
I'm on task.
I was like, looks like so like
Yeah,
the
it's it.
task. That's how we get tasked out.
That's
No, and
exactly it.
I think a lot, what it goes down to what I've said this and I haven't talked about you in about a long time, but is get out of your comfort zone and put yourself in a point of friction.
Mm,
Is
mm.
if you're in your comfort zone, if I love being here in the shop and I just kind of have my routine, I have my own thing, I'm just, coasting, that's fine, guys. I did it for a long time. And then joining, training with Rennie and being mentored by, Joab, Justin, Rennie, you know, some of my friends in the group, Jamie Buffett, Sadowski, Chris, all these people kind of just push you to the next level because again, I'm putting my energy towards these people that are going to push me to do better. And they're giving all these ideas. And I've always said it, if I'm not in a point of friction,
Mm.
I'm doing something wrong. I like being in the point of friction. Why? Because I thrive more in the point of friction. It's going to push me to be a better person. It's going to push me to do more and push me to my limits, to do more and get out of my comfort zone. When you're in your comfort zone, um, it affects everyone else. Are you bringing people down because you're in your comfort zone? Are you making it okay for your culture, for your team to also get in their comfort zone? Now you just become someone that walks through the door, they clock in, they do their job, they clock out, they go home, the day is done. You
Well,
know, It-
I always say this, and this is a relationship. If your staff and your let's go to your circles. So your circles at work. If your spouse, because believe it or not, even if they've got a separate career, they're part of your company, and you need to be communicating with them. But if the people in your inner circle at work see you stressed out, what's that going to do to them? Like, is I can ruin our whole team's day in 5 seconds. Is if I come in with the wrong attitude with Becky and Oscar, if I'm shitty, is that energy is just killed, right? Doesn't happen too often, but every once in a while, I'll wake up and go, ooh, not the right attitude, not the right thing to say. So you've even got to lead from the front in that way, right? Because they're going to turn around, and if you do operate with staff, the way you treat them is the way they're going to treat staff, unless you got somebody real or customers. unless you got a really strong-willed person that realizes, hey man, this person, this you're a jerk, and I'm not going to treat people like that because I'm above that. Boy, man, keep that person. If they're straightening your ass out, don't be hurt by it. Take it as constructive criticism and go. And so act in action. This is step three. So again, going back through step one, clarification. Step two, evaluate each task that you're going to do. Step three, now you got to act on this. So how we do this is chapter one in the day for the first 2 to 4 hours. High impact. It needs you. Is you do it first. This is our profits first program. That first 2 to 4 hours of every day is going to be on profits. Now you'll say, God, I don't have time. Get up early. We just had Warren on from Stinger Products.
No, it's just Warren said it last night. If you can do something in the Mike Carlin said out here on the comments, it was going shout out to Mike with IGL. 8 peaks to go back 20 years and have a restart.
Yep.
And Warren said it last night. If I can go back 20 years, I'd wake up earlier. And it's like, why? And it's like, I mean, look at the Kobe Bryant, mentality.
Yep.
He was waking up at 4, just to get an extra practice. And why? Because while everybody's sleeping, I'm getting better.
Yeah.
Waking up
No.
earlier and getting it done.
You got, I mean, it's Mark Wahlberg, the actor. You look at what that guy's done, the wealth he's created. Look at his schedule. It's online, Google it. And I just heard him in an interview, and he was on a podcast or something. They're asking him, we got this off the internet. And he goes, yeah, it's true. That is my schedule. And he gets up, he goes to bed at like 8 o'clock and gets up at like 2. And he works, he's guy's in insane shape, right? So he's got this really cool schedule. But I'm not even going to try to explain it because I don't remember it. But it was, if to some, to me, it's hardcore, right? But to him, why has he done so well? So I can tell you it's rare that I'm not up, especially on a business day, up and moving. Now I might not turn my phone on. A lot of times I won't. Between 5:30 and 6:30, my body's up naturally. Today, I had my alarm set because I stayed up a little late last night, and so I was getting up a little late. I had my alarm set at 6:30, and 6:03, I wake up. It's my body; it's used to it. And I'll tell you, since I have not been turning my phone on, is that when I grab my phone, I don't turn it on. I go to my notes page. I live on.
We live on notes
We
pages.
live on notes pages. We've got hundreds and hundreds of notes. And what I love about that is I like writing things down, right? I'm a big writer, but I can't find those notes. And my notes page, I can search out and somebody can mention something. Hey, do you remember what you told me about doing this? It was a couple years ago. And so I'll go back and type in the topic in 2023 and boom, there it is. You can usually find it. If you start naming it really creative and put the right at the top line, what that note's going to be. Notes, it works on my computer, it works on my on my phone, and I have it on my tablet. It just transition. And how many times a day do you see my notes page?
A lot. I mean, I got it on my desktop right now. I got them on my phone. Like I said, we live off of our notes. Why? Because that's how we communicate. We task, with these. If there's different things you can do on notes, that once we task out, we just check everything off, and it's like Rennie can go in there and be like, "Oh, everything's done." You know what I'm saying? It's like we're just taking care of it.
Yep.
Notes are where it's at.
I love it. And it's guys, if you got an iPhone, it's there. It's free. Now, if you're on, I don't know on the Android side, I'm sure there's something equivalent. There has to be, there has to be. But what we love about this is I can share them on constantly. I share or modify at least one note a day. Sometimes I still feel bad on the weekends. I'll even, damn, I got this idea, and I'll just jot it down. And sometimes I just tell, Oscar and Becky, ignore me when I do that. You don't need to respond. I'm just putting it in there. But a lot of times I go, oh man, that's a good idea. They'll respond back. And then I feel bad, right? Because I didn't want to take up time on their weekends. But, and then, chapter 2 is nonprofit related actions. Is that everything on that chapter 1? It could be follow-up calls, follow-up emails, again, automated as much as you can using software. You can take in if you're going to send up a follow-up video, if you're going to, everything that's related to customers and people are going to pay you is in that chapter 1. Chapter 2 is nonprofit related things. Maybe you got to sign your contract to your new insurance policy. Maybe you need to pay bills. Maybe you need to take and get into your books, whatever that is. That's chapter 2. Chapter 3 is future efforts. Those are going to things like, what we're working on for SEMA right now is that we've been working slowly trickling it for weeks, and just working on it. We're already starting to work on mobile tech,
Yeah.
so those items take months. But if you put a chapter in there, even if it's only a half an hour a day, and you work on that, one of the tasks that we've got Becky going on is finishing up the Bible for Air Force One, so that we've got a literally physical Bible that's got everything in it. So it's got tabs in it and every subject in there. And then every year we make a new one. And it's chronological. It kind of tracks the project, which is kind of fun, right? We didn't do that in the early days, but now we can take, and it makes doing these projects much easier, right? And so that's chapter 3. So daily checklist. I'm really big into this. Write down your top 3. What do you have to get done? I highlight mine, right? So I'll write it down, and these do green. I always put it green. And again, why? Profits, right? So these green items, I can't touch anything else on that list until those A priorities are done. And then starting with the task that makes everything else easier is don't start with the easy stuff. Start with the hard stuff. You got to go in and get those things that are tough down. And then also delegation. Can you delegate it? And so it delegation, I've never really had a problem. I couldn't handle things. That's why I turned over the mafia over to the leadership. A lot of people don't realize it. I don't lead the group anymore. We've got some amazing people in the group that actually lead the group. And then we got the founders, that we bounce back stuff off of all the time. I'm kind of in that category. And even them, they outvote me all the time. And then did I eliminate or push aside one low impact distraction? What's a distraction? Social media, guys. Get on there, make your post for profits, and get off.
It's like a
You know,
double-edged sword, right?
yep, get off. And then end of day, did my energy go to impactful activities or BS? How much of my day was total BS? And you've got to redirect. You've got to pivot. Your next list for the next day is realize what you can put off. Diane's famous for this. We go out with the horses, we have to pick up their manure, right? And she'll be having one of those days and she's planning to go out and she's like, oh man, I just don't feel like it. I said, Diane, it's going to still be sitting on the ground tomorrow. And she just
It
laughed.
ain't going anywhere.
It ain't going nowhere. It's not going to go anywhere. So you can just as much pick it up today as you can tomorrow. Because the thing is that, they're poop factories. It's just going to pile up. And I was like, it's okay because it's no different. I mean, they're going to still shit the same amount tomorrow as they did today. And, it's
That cow is on a whole different level on this subject.
oh no, no, the cow is but now God, we pivot. ADD and ADHD. I don't know. Sometimes we switch. Sometimes you're just ADD and I'm the ADHD, and then we pivot, right? And it's I think Becky sits there and she's like, and then Diane will walk in and she'll just walk back out. Diane's like, I'm not even. I don't even want to be involved in this. It's like nobody's getting arrested. Don't worry about it. So it's the cow. Now we're taking and saving it. We're starting to compost her poop because we want to take and we did a remodel on the house this year. So next spring is the yard. So we're starting to compost her poop to help us with that effort. So look at that. We got built-in manure, right? So your checklist. Make sure at the end of the day, did the delegation help you? How did you do it? Utilize technology, and again, even remote personal assistants, PAs will really help. So that's your tasking. Your tasking is make sure that you're putting that energy should be put there. You should put very little into the people side of your energy. Now, good energy, you remember those circles, but I'll tell you this, I don't think people realize as you build yourself up in business, the demands on your schedule. And these guys will tell you, my schedule it can get crazy. It can get really crazy. But if you look at people I've worked with, some billionaires through the time, folks, these people they're segmented out by the minute. I mean, their schedules are broken down to where I remember seeing one individual, and I don't want to name this person, but their personal assistant that was right next to him all the time and literally lived with a pen and a notebook in their hand. I mean, I never saw the person I'm talking about, personal assistant without the notebook there, but the pen in hand, literally not reaching for it in hand and taking notes. This individual had pee breaks scheduled in to their day, and a billionaire. I mean, a billionaire. It was crazy to watch. They just gravitate. They love that environment, right? They just loved it. And I like to stay busy like that, but I'm like, I don't know, 4 to 6 hours a day and I'm done, right? It's so taxing. And then yesterday I went in, Diane goes, God, you look beat. And I said, man, today was awesome, but I am tired.
We got a lot done.
Got a lot done. We did a lot of mind stuff, a lot of that tasking stuff that I'm talking about is going to wear you down. That's why a lot of people put it off. I can tell somebody that's really struggling with self confidence, really struggling with drive. Maybe they've hit a chapter in life, or maybe they haven't hit the chapter yet, right? And they put things off, and it's a habit, and it's sad to see. And sometimes I want to grab people and say, "Look, you're not building yourself up. Is that you're not challenging yourself, not getting uncomfortable enough." And that's, I think that why I always gravitated towards adventure sports. I love to ski fast. I love to drive fast. When I go hiking, I don't like to go on trails. I like to go cut trail. And sometimes you get into kind of some
terrain back there, Big Bear.
and then you got some, stinking, Marine that's, 15 years younger than you. No, more than that. And then, of course, I'm freaking competitive. We both carrying ropes up to where the rope area is on the outdoor course, and he takes off. Well, I'm not going to let him waste me, So 5-10 minutes after he gets up there, I get up there, and I'm about halfway ready to freaking die because I just don't want to be. I just don't want to be humiliated. That man, when I see a person that just has that mentality, that even if they're going to lose, they're going to they're going to come into second place looking pretty good.
You saying that it's not a bad thing, guys. It's the competitive mindset that we have, and it's good to have when you're working with good-minded people and you're putting your energy towards those people because that scenario there, the way that I thought it is when I was in the Marine Corps and I would see these old crusty gunnery sergeants and first sergeants and master guns, these E8s, E9s, and they're out there smoking a cigarette, drinking coffee before a 3 mile run, but the dude could run like 18-minute 3 miles, and I'm like, I used to tell myself, God bless America if that old ass man beats me on this run. I used to say that in my head all the time.
Yep.
But when I became that crusty old fucking first sergeant, sorry for cussing, but when I became that old guy, I used to tell myself, God bless America if one of these young Marines fucking beats me on a run. And it killed me because it killed my body trying to keep up. And that's the mentality that you have to challenge yourself, to put yourself in this energy to make these things happen, to put those chapters is get yourself out of your comfort zone. I can easily sit here and be like, hey, Rennie, we're going to get up that hill. How much do we have? An hour and a half? Oh, I'm just going to stroll. No, I challenge myself.
No, I do too. I can't. I'll turn around when I need at this age now, and I'm not in the shape I used to be. Shame on me. I'll turn around and enjoy the view, but really what I'm doing is I'm sucking oxygen in, right? But I'm going to go full. I can't. I mean, if Diane's with me, I want to be enjoyable, but she'll tell you right now. She'll say, "Rennie, stop, Rennie, stop, Rennie, stop." And these little legs, man. I'm short, but man, they move. They still move. And I'm gonna take on this thing, Oscar, to where I want to be that crusty old man up until the end.
There's nothing wrong with that. You're challenging yourself. You're getting out there, and you're not making age an excuse.
No. And listen,
I'm not making it an excuse. You're not making an excuse.
You can't make your 20 years in the industry an excuse. You can't make
Bob
your
Phillip,
1 year.
Bob Phillip is like my age, and look how great that dude looks. And I know he's on your Bob.
But talking business wise, you can't make, oh man, I'm not going to go to SEMA and attend one of these trainings upstairs, one of these lectures. I'm not going to go to Mobile Tech and hear these guys speak. I've been in this 25 years. I could speak on the topic. You probably could. So why aren't you? And then the second thing is that I'll take a young person that's just in business. We got a training coming up on Monday, a 5-day, right? One of these newer people in the industry is going to teach me something.
There's multiple things throughout the day. I'm taking notes like crazy during the 5 days now. because you're
It's
learning something new every day.
it's unreal. And then we had two female interns. And I mean, what I took away from these two young ladies, these entrepreneurs, it was mind-boggling on how much they influenced me for moving ahead. And it's again, that's the type of people we encounter. Let's talk about that: the good, the bad, and the undermining. The good is the biggest group. Is I think really 90+% of people are just good. Now, a lot of people will take, and I've got friends in the industry, and we don't talk all the time. I know how demanding their schedule is. And when we need to talk, we'll talk. And a lot of times, Jeremy Stevens and I, we talk at SEMA, we talk at events when we see each other. I know he's as a busy guy. And he puts his family. He's still got kids at home. His son works with them, right? He's got all these cool things going on. Bob Phillips, same thing. As you look at these people. I mean, Adam from Adam's Polish. I know I can call him. We're going to take a call, but I know how productive these gentlemen have to be, and I don't want to be an interruption of their day. I want to be an add-on to the day. So all these good people. Now the bad, those are the rodents, man. Is the offline bullies, the online bullies. It's again the good, the bad, and the undermining. You're going to have people that you really help. It might be a staff member, it might be somebody in the industry. All these different avenues and crossings that you have with people. There's going to be the good people. It's the biggest batch. There's going to be the bad that they're just not your cup of tea. They might be a good person, but you two together, the energy's bad. And then there's the undermining. These are the people that are going to take and the only reason that they're not where you're at is because they've stabbed you in the back to climb up where they're going. They hit, you finally shook them off, let the wounds heal, but they're back at that same plateau, and you can see them from a mile away. And our industry unfortunately has got a lot of undermining mentality that goes to it, and it's sad. But again, the bad and the undermining is a small percentage. Most people, when we're at SEMA, we have our party. The industry, you all are going to put $30,000 to $50,000 into SEMA Cares the Child nonprofits, and that's 100%. SEMA doesn't take a dime for that. They fund it themselves with the staff that operates it, and they don't take it back out of the foundation or the nonprofits. They just the nonprofit, everything that comes in it goes back out to the kids. And so the industry, all of us, whether you're there or not, pat yourself on the back because you guys help a lot out. And so on the bad, delete them, block them, and ignore them. Move on. Get it out of you. Don't. I see somebody a smart ass comment. Even if I had somebody reach out, I took one of their comments off a post that I did, and they reached out and they said, "Hey, why'd you delete my post?" I said, "Because I didn't like the energy of it, dude." And he's like, "Man, I shouldn't have put it up there. It was a complete accident." Now, what I should have done is send a message out and said, "Hey, I took that down. I didn't feel it really. It went into the vibe I was trying to put out there." But this person understood, once I said it. So is just, don't let people undermine. Don't let people steal your energy, and don't let people interrupt the person you're trying to become and better. Is that, it's you've got to really watch your own back is what I'm saying. So put energy in the following is, boy, and this is something throughout my career, make yourself healthy. So into lifting, and, I was so health conscious, and I always, really never had to watch my weight, never had to do anything. And then all the ignoring I did of my body caught up to me, as you age, right? And I'm still blessed, with good health and so forth, but you've got to make yourself healthy mentally and physically. You have to keep that. You can't, if you're constantly underneath, pressure. Some people handle pressure, but I really think even, Oscar, there's a photo of me, and I've got a ruck on me, and it was with a unit that we were tied to, and we had some really, I was honored just to be with these guys, and I'm rucking it hard, right? And I'm carrying a big load. Even like the SOD guys, special operating detachment guys that I've had, interactions with, but very limited. I'm not one of them, that's for sure. When you're around those guys, they're just, and men and women, it's just a whole nother. You realize they're like 0.1% of humanity because they're just these superhumans. But what I've found out is that they've really regulated. They know what their body can take and can't take. Your mind is the same way. You've got to regulate that, know what it can take and can't take, and you need to give it a break and never lose yourself. I did it for a long, long bit. And I tell people all the time, it was 10 years, man. And it took 5 years to stop the horrible habits that I got into of overworking. Adore your spouse, adore your family, adore your circles that are around you, even the ones, they're your furthest out circle. And then respect your best friend, whoever your best friend is, make sure that they know that they're the best friend. And then lastly, it sounds so odd to people, but adore yourself is that you need to take and put energy into you, and you need to think the right thoughts. You don't say negative things about you. Say positive things. And what I realized is years ago, I made a big mistake, and I'd always kind of kid around about myself. And I did it enough to where other people were picking it up and they're kind of coming back at me with that. And it's because I set a tempo that it was okay to think of me that in those light. I don't do that anymore. I don't talk. There's things that I'm not very confident about, right? In life. I don't talk about those things in front of people. That's something that I deal with because I've had those things used against me and it's hurtful. And so what I learned to do is on those things is I keep that internal. I work on me. I know my good, the bad, and the ugly of myself, and just work on you. Make sure that you respect yourself, and just like you adore your family, you adore your spouse, and you respect your best friend. Do all those things to you. You owe it to yourself, and you'll be a lot happier. So, okay, so Oscar, last thoughts. Keep an impeccable notes. I mean,
You
write
have
it down.
you have to write things down. There's just so many things going on throughout the day. And again, I'll come back to Doug. Doug keeps a book on he'll have your
Love it,
name on
man.
there, and then he writes just things about that you'll have a conversation with them and be like, he's got this and that. And I asked about Air Force One. I said, "Are you taking a lot of notes?" He's like, "No." He's like, I take notes on people, of just like so I can remember what they're doing or how they are, where they're from. And I mean, it's just taking notes and keeping things down. I mean, it's just so important. I got sheets and sheets of notes. I pulled this out because the 3x5s. I use these a lot in the military where I would plan out my day on 3x5 cards, and I would just check it out. And again, it was something. It was never in colors. It was simply task out your day, what's important, what's not,
Hmm.
and and prioritize it. And honestly, for me, guys, me personally, I start with, my days. I try to go into the workout. This morning, I didn't hit the gym. I came here. I got in late last night from Big Bear. I'm going right back up tomorrow. But guess what? Right after this podcast, I'm driving to the gym.
Yep.
That's how I want to start my day because if I don't work out, me personally, I feel like I don't have that energy for the day. I got to get mentally right from the beginning. I like working out in the mornings when I'm up in Big Bear. When you hear me come out 6:15 from the room, I go into the shop. I get a quick workout in because it just sets the tempo for my day.
That's where
It
I'm gonna,
literally
as soon as we're
sets,
done, that's where I'm gonna go right now.
yeah, and it's like it just sets a tempo, guys. So find something that's going to set your tempo for the day. If you're waking up every day and you're going into this and you're entertaining the drama, that's the tempo you're going to have. And ask yourself, how is that going to
Good
affect
point.
you, your family, your business, and the people around you?
Good
Set the
point.
tempo, set it right, get in the right state of mind, and go make money because that's what it's all about.
And don't turn that phone on first thing in the morning. Sit there and look back at your notes. And again, every man last night I sat there and I've said this a million times. I always wake up and choose three things I want to be thankful for in the day. I know what my day is going to include. And last night, and then I end my day of, okay, what's three things before I go to sleep? And it really helps me sleep. And last night I just wasn't ready to go to sleep. I just was, Diane was tired. She went to bed first. And so I stayed out there and had some me time. And I had something going in the background. I watched some music stuff. I did a little research on some personal interest and looked at some real estate. Naturally, looked at some cars. Um, but when I went to bed, it sets my mind right. I said, okay, what are three things I'm really thankful for that happened today? And I ended my mind just goes poof off to sleep because I I take it in my day with such positive, and I start my day with such positive, and it just it helps you so much. It just makes, I don't know, man. It makes the day pleasurable. So as Oscar said, I don't go on social media. Don't turn my phone on. I've got a rule. My teeth are brushed. I'm shaved. I don't turn the phone on. I might have it in my hand and I might be looking at my notes or I might be making notes, but I'm not I'm not going to go on social media. I'm not going in the email box yet. I'm gonna wait. So this morning that happened at about 6:33, I think is the first time I turned, and I'd been awake for 30 minutes already. So mind map out your day. Really map out your day and your week. What's going to look like? I've got it. You can see right here. I just did a note, and that's my indication of mind mapping and just an idea. Oscar's sitting there, and I went, "Oh shit, I know something I want to do that's fun." Um, and so it's never lose yourself by not mapping out your day. What I mean by that is Oscar just said it. Go work out. What's important to you? Get a little me time. Make you better. Is that you've got to spend time with if you're a dad, if you're a grandpa, if you're a husband, if you're a wife, you're got a significant other, take and spend a little time with them, give them a hug, cuddle with them a little bit, and then put into yourself. And I think that's really important that you have to. That's got to be part of your map out for each and every day of your life. Is that you've got to take and give to yourself. And health is, what do they say? They spend your youth building wealth, and you spend your I can't remember this how it goes, but basically, when you get older, you spend your wealth for your health. And so, why not savor and save your health when you're building your wealth? And even if it takes a couple of years longer, who cares? If you're healthier and you look better and you feel better and you got more confidence, I think that's huge. Have a plan and plan it out every single chapter of that plan and understand it to no end. Is that you have got to take and I just shared how many pages was that handwritten, all the mind mapping I did with you, Oscar, and I mean 6, 8 pages.
Yeah, it was 6 8 pages of mind mapping that you literally knocked out, and it just continued to it just goes because one mind map leads to another, and I
Yep.
actually got a book on that. I'm bringing it up to go out there and so we can go over some stuff. And again, guys, this is just kind of how we operate. We're constantly just mind mapping things out, coming up with ideas, and just, hopefully you guys are starting to see it on social media and what we're putting out there. Again, because we're constantly just thriving and moving forward. And
Yeah.
we don't get caught up in the drama and the BS. We're just here to, change one life at a time, right, Rennie?
Yeah, and we're guilty of this. Let me tell you, you can get addicted to chaos. And I'm real.
Organized chaos.
What's that?
That's it. You can get addicted to organized chaos too.
You can, and so you got to stay clear of that. Like I can take like one, like I don't know if there's something going on in the industry. Somebody's already told me one thing that's going on, and I'll stop and I said, "Do I need to hear this right now?" And the reason why is I'm protecting, my I'm keeping my priorities straight. I'm not going to let things that are going to zap positive energy with negative energy come into my world. I'm just not. And, there's going to be things like that. I don't watch the news a lot. And so I just, that young girl that was, stabbed and killed on the subway. Um, God, man, that just, it's two things. It made me angry that nobody stepped in and helped her. There's people, I don't care how scared they were at this dude. I'm 59 and a half years old. That dude would have approached that girl. The first thing I would have done is I won't say it what I would have done. I would have done something. I probably would have gotten hurt, maybe even killed. But I'm not going to sit there and watch a female be brutalized like that. Now if he was walking away, I would have told him jump on it. I would have gone and tried to gone in and saved her life, right? That's more important than beating the life out of that guy. But I don't know the full story if he just stabbed her once or if it was multiples, but I mean, it made me sick, right? And I got to be really careful with that stuff. Does it matter? Yeah, what goes around in the world matters, but I don't want it to interrupt my life and I don't want it to influence me. Does that make sense? And so be careful with that. You got a task at hand. You're building a wonderful life right now. And that life really is politics going to change it much? Your one vote, go out there and vote. But, man, I mean, there's so many rights. We live in this, in the United States, we live in this wonderful country with so many things that we've got going for us. But buying into the drama and separation it shouldn't be part of it, right? Is that, it ends with this is that life is all about souls. And the souls that you have in this is, for me, it's, again, Diane's everything, our family, but, our dogs, our horses, our cow, we got a Dinah's got a mini cow.
She's not a mini cow. She's a cow.
She's a cow. Yeah, she's a cow. But Oscar, Becky, all of our, our friends, our associates, I mean, all these people, that we love and respect is that God, that's the most important part of life, man. And, I got to see my best friend in the world, Rich, this last weekend. And I even told his brother, I said, this sounds weird, but he goes, it's so cool that, you and Rich stay so close. So let me tell you something about your brother, man. And I'm not, years ago, I wouldn't have said this, but I mean, I adore the dude so much. I love him. Like he's just, I can't even explain it. Right. And it's so special to have, I've got a few of those souls in my life that are, that mean that much. And sometimes randomly, these people, Jimmy up north, um, Andy, up in Oregon, those two individuals right there are honed in on, I don't know how, but man, when I need to hear something, they seem to say it. And, Jimmy's taught me so much about what I'll call man love, and that it's okay. And that, I grew up I grew up in a different era, and I grew up from people that came through the Depression, the Great Depression. Some of you, some of you people probably don't even know what it is. They
I
came
read
through
about it in
World.
books.
Yeah, right, exactly. And thank God none of us lived through that. Most, pretty much everybody that lived through that, at the end of their lives are already gone. But my grandma was they were a hardy bunch, man. And I grew up from that generation, so I see things a little differently than our current generations, right? Because of the exposure I had through them. And it's not an excuse. I love it. I'm not putting it. But our young people, some young people do relate to that. I'm kind of blown away right now at like some 18 and 19-year olds, some 20, 25, 28-year olds. Not many. That category it's very rare, but that kind of hardship living thing is, in the discipline. And I can tell another kid that grew up with very little. And you know what? And we're scarred too, right? We're going to carry our scars on, in our life. And unfortunately, hopefully each generation gets a little better than us, and I definitely, my kids are doing much better than I did. And it's because we also gave them a different opportunity, and I'm sure that they, Oscar, your kids probably look at the way they grew up and think, oh my God, my dad has no idea. But in reality, how would they adjusted to the way you had to grow up? You
Ah,
know?
imagine no cell phones and social media. Kids would go
Right.
crazy
Well,
these days.
and the discipline that you grew up underneath. I've heard your stories, of, going to work with your mom and stuff like that. There's there's people, man, that I think would freak out if they were put in that situation. Nowadays, in certain markets, that might be considered abuse, which is
Child labor.
crazy, right? I mean, it's just exactly child labor.
Child labor.
We had friends of ours that they put their kids to work up in Idaho, and the kids were throwing a fit, saying that they're being abused, because I mean, the parents they owned a company that they needed help, and the kids were going around, and I'm like, are you kidding me? The kid, I mean, what? You know, and these are good kids, but they're just, they're spoiled, right? But life is about those souls. Make sure you're putting into it. So, hey, next week, this weekend we talked about the outdoor leadership. Next week we have a 5-day detailing training, and then next week we have a 5-day PPF training. So if you're interested in that, we've got ongoing classes. We're going to announce our fall and winter schedule here. We got some really cool 1 days coming up, 2 days coming up, 3 days, and of course 5 days. And we got some Saturday events that we're going to be announcing for some specialty trainings and opportunities. So we're really excited about that. Some simple things where it's going to be a 1 day, but we're going to teach you some new profit points. And I had an idea on that too last night for one of these Saturdays that we're going to do. And I haven't even shared with Oscar or Becky yet, what that add-on is. So, all right, guys, Oscar, we'll see you tomorrow. And I think Becky's on. We'll see her this afternoon or this morning. And guys, make sure to share this if you got something out of it. We want to change one person's life, and we hope that it's yours. If we did impact it, let us know. We love to hear the stories of what you got, took away from this. And I see Frank's on.
Frank, I was literally going to say, Frank went out there post, thank you both. If you have any other questions, man, reach out to us.
That's it.
success.com, or look us up out there. Information's out there. 805, look me up on Instagram. If you have any more further questions, reach out. Thanks to everybody who's jumped on. If you see me looking to the right over here, it's because I got all the comments. But we had a lot of people come in, say a lot of great things from Jerry Grant, William Lara, Anthony Carrera, Mike, IGL, Bob's on here, Rick. Thank you guys all for jumping in and throwing out your comments. Someone said give Oscar a crayon. That'll keep him busy. Rich, thank you, Rich, going out there. Go forth out there. John Folks is on here, Ramiro Torres. So thank you guys for jumping in and
Look at,
sharing it.
look at all those people, man. I mean, that's just, you look at some souls, talking about souls. I mean, Bob, here's a guy. I mean, Bob Phillip, he doesn't need to be on this call right now. I mean, look at what the guy's accomplished, but yet he's here, guys. And is he here for him? Yeah, he's here for him. But really, what he's for you. He's here for me. He's there for Oscar. He just, this dude just pushes the industry. If anybody's got a kind heart towards people, Bob Phillips is it. Too kind sometimes. And you know what happens to kind people is they get put in odd positions. And I try never to do that with Bob, but he's just one of those guys. He's an ambassador of people. He's not an ambassador in the industry. He's an ambassador of people. And I've learned that from him. And he's somebody that has shown me a lot in life, in a lot of ways that I try to be a lot like, guys like tomorrow night, we're going to have the Abrams on, we're doing a lot of podcasts right now, guys. So tomorrow night's an evening one. And, these two men is our role models to me. And, they're the type of parents and dads, and I want my kids to be. My kids, had, unfortunately, we're products of our environment, kind of, right? Right. We have a choice too. So I don't like to make excuses, but, I think that Bob's parents did a great job. And I think Bob's done him and his wife Yvette have done even a better job. And that's what I want my kids to do. I want them to be the next great people, and that's what I want. When I say my kids too, it's a lot of you, that's listening. It's people that he just named. Is I want all of you to be far greater than I ever was or ever could be, that's why this podcast goes on. It's the only reason.
Yep.
You can tell, guys, matter of fact, I don't want awards. I don't want to be recognized. I don't want any of that. I'd rather see them recognize podcast of up and comers that need it, that's doing it for a complete different reason. We're not that we got the Abrams Phillips attitude. We just want to take and be advocates of people. And so again, tribute to two of my heroes, that are out there. And there's a lot of them. I mean, it's on the opposite side of the Abrams is, Jody and Rod. And, you look at what Jody's done with his kids and the inspiration, the things he posted up about his wife. I think these are the kind of men we all, for men, it's kind of men we want to be. And it's an honor to have them around. And Oscar, look at this. I mean,
Everybody you name, Randy, literally what comes to mind is a different type of leadership that I grew up with in the military. That type of leadership was, and again, there was known as, you get blackballed as a weak leader, but compassionate leadership is literally what we need, is compassion. I've learned so much from everyone that you named, from Rod, Jody, Bob, Michael, from You're Able, people in this group, Justin, Joe,
Doug.
Doug is like,
God,
Bobby, I'm afraid to talk to Bobby.
Harry. So here you got wartime. Okay, leadership in the mafia. During wartime, we got Harry. During peacetime, we got Bobby.
Yeah.
And you look at Justin, and here I was a coach, mentor, trainer to him, and the dude influences me. I mean, that's just, you got to, and again, it comes back to followership and leadership.
We're going to talk about that first thing Friday morning. I was talking to Chris about this morning. Like, we're going to start off with leadership and followership. Where do you land, and when do you know to position yourself in all these situations? So when I'm in a room with all you guys, I know where my place is at. If I'm in my shop, I know where my place is at. You got to be able to turn it on and turn it off.
Amen.
But, getting to where I was getting to is, guys, is that compassionate leadership is, we need that. And I didn't learn that until I met Rennie. I didn't know that until I joined the Detail Mafia. I didn't know that but it's changed me so much to be a more caring person and just care more about people than just that tough love. I was brought up on tough love, and if I showed you tough love, it's because I love you, man. But
Yep.
the compassionate leadership has really changed me. It's changed my point of view. It's changed me as a person. And people around me have noticed it. You know, my family, people in the community. It's just like, dude, like you've changed, and it's good. We see it. You know, and I guess that's what I want to close out with is, just be good, be a good human, be a good person, be a good business owner. You're gonna do great things.
Amen. There's nothing else to add to that one. That was a good closeout, man. So, well, hey guys, share this if you got something out of it. Send us a little note too. We love to hear it, and it's not bragging. I just like to hear how, man, if we made a little impact, right? Just it fires me up. I try harder and harder to. We're not all of these are going to relate to everybody, but we hope that you get something out of little piece out of every one of them. So, all right, dude, go have a good day. I'm gonna go work out too. I'm hungry. I haven't eaten. I'm hungry. That's you guys heard that before. We'll have to talk about that tomorrow night when we get Michael Abrams on, and talk about, maybe not. No, never mind. Scratch that. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that incident. That's funnier than hell. All right,
Yeah.
guys.
All right,
We'll
well,
talk about you and Chris on a bicycle.
I'll pull up the picture.
Yeah,
I'll have it ready.
yeah, I
I'll
like
have
it.
that ready.
Hey, take care, guys. Have a powerful day. We'll see.